Hi, and welcome back. I'm Lisa Reidsema from Craft Your Practice, and we are at episode 19, How to Write a Therapy Bio That Actually Sounds Like You. So, most therapist bios read like a resume that someone added one warm sentence to at the end: degrees, licenses, modalities, population served, and then something like, I believe in meeting you where you are. That was supposed to sound human, but does not quite land. So I'm not saying this to be critical. I'm saying it because the format most therapists follow for their bio was designed for a different purpose than what the bio actually needs to accomplish. A credential list tells people you are qualified. A bio tells people whether to call you. Those are different jobs, and most bios are written for the first job when they need to be doing the second one. So today I want to give you a framework for writing a bio that actually works, one that sounds like you, does the job it needs to, and makes the right person feel immediately like they might be in the right place. Part one: who reads your bio and when? Before you can write a bio that works, you need to understand the context in which it gets read. Someone reads your therapy bio after they have already decided that they probably need a therapist. They are not evaluating your qualifications at that point. They have already screened for licensure, for location, and for speciality, for fee range. All of that happened in the directory search. By the time they are actually reading your bio, they are trying to answer a different question. Does this person understand my situation? Will I feel comfortable in the room with this person? That is the decision that your bio is supporting, not is this therapist qualified, but is this therapist for me? So this reframe changes everything about how you write the bio. If you're writing to help someone decide whether you are the right person for their specific situation, then you lead with something that orientates them to the experience that they are having. And you let the credentials come later as confirmation rather than persuasion. So most therapist bios are written for an audience that no longer exists by the time that the bio gets read. So the person reading your bio already knows you have a license. They already know that you have training and that they need something different now. And the bio that leads with, I am a licensed clinical social worker with 15 years of experience, is not giving it to them. Part two: the structure that actually works. So here's the structure, four parts in this order. Open with the problem, not your credentials. Your first sentence should orientate the reader to the experience that they are already having, not to your degrees, to them. Something like, most of the people that I work with come in having already tried to figure this out themselves for longer than they should have had to. Or you probably have been managing this on your own and wondering at some point whether something is actually wrong or whether this is just what life feels like now. The first sentence is not about you, it's about them. It signals immediately that you understand what they are walking in with. And that signal creates the first moment of recognition that makes someone want to keep reading. So this takes practice because everything about professional training pushes therapists toward leading with credentials. Resist it. The credential section is coming. It doesn't belong at the front. So then move to your approach briefly. not a list of modalities, not I am trained in EMDR, CBT, ACT, and IFS. One or two sentences about how you actually work and what it feels like to be in a session with you. So, are you direct? Do you bring warmth and some humor? Do you tend to ask a lot of questions? Or do you listen more and reflect back? Do you bring in homework and structure? Or do you follow the client's lead? Do you look at patterns across time or do you focus on what's happening right now? Give the reader something specific and real. The goal here is a felt sense of you as a clinician, not your training credentials. When someone reads your approach section, they should be able to start imagining what it would be like to sit across from you. That imagination is part of what drives them to call. So then your credentials and keep them short. So license, primary training areas, years of experience, any specific certifications that are relevant to your population, 4 to 6 sentences maximum. By the time someone has read your opening and your approach section, your credentials are confirmation. They are not the thing that will convince someone to call you. They are the thing that reassures them that they were right to consider you in the first place. So put the credentials in the bio because they should be there, but don't build your bio around them. Close with something human and true. This does not require personal disclosure. It can simply be a sentence or two about what you believe about the therapeutic process, what draws you to this work, what you think therapy can actually do for people, and something that makes you a person rather than a provider. The key word is true, not inspirational in a general way, not something you would find on a motivational poster, something specific to you that would not be true of every other therapist in your zip code. So, part three, the voice problem. The most common problem with therapist bios is not structure, it's the voice. Even therapists who know the right structure often produce bios that sound clinical, distant, or polished in a way that creates a slight unreality. The reader finishes the bio and has absorbed information, but has not had a felt sense of a person. And without that felt sense, they hesitate. So here's the diagnostic test. Read your bio out loud, the whole thing at a normal speaking pace, as if you were saying it to someone sitting across from you. And if it sounds like something that you would never say in an actual conversation, or rewrite it until it does, that is the standard. Your bio should sound like you on a good day, clear, direct, and genuine, not performative, not clinical, not inspirational in a vague, slightly hollow way. Just you talking honestly about what you do and who you do it for. So, this is harder than it sounds because most of us have been trained to write in one register and speak in another. Academic writing, clinical documentation, even professional emails have their own conventions that are quite different from how most of us actually talk. And a bio is written in your professional writing voice. It's going to sound like a document. A bio written in approximately your speaking voice is going to sound like a person. Some practical ways to close that gap are to record yourself talking about your work for 2 or 3 minutes without notes, as if you were explaining it to a friend. Transcribe it. It will be rough, but there will be sentences in there that are actually more alive than anything you would write from scratch. So start with those and build the bio from them. Alternatively, have someone interview you about your work and write down what you say. The language that comes out in conversation is the language that belongs in your bio. Part 4, common mistakes and how to fix them. Let me name the most common mistakes that I see in therapist bios so that you know what to look for in your own. The credential parade, 3 paragraphs of degrees, training, modalities, and licensure before there is a single sentence about the client. So move everything credential related to the third section and cut anything that does not add specific relevant information. The generic opener. I believe that everyone deserves to feel heard, supported, and understood. This sentence could appear on the website of every therapist in the country or in the universe. And it communicates nothing specific about you or your work. Replace it with a sentence that is specific to your population and the actual experience that they are having when they come to you and when they sit across from you in the room. The modality list. I utilize a variety of evidence based approaches, including CBT, EMDR, and mindfulness based interventions. Unless your client is another therapist, this list is not meaningful to them. And it does not tell them what working with you actually feels like. So, one sentence about your general orientation, one sentence about what sessions tend to feel like. Leave the modality list off the bio entirely or put it at the very end as a brief note. So, the closing that isn't. Many bios just stop. There is no landing. The reader finishes and thinks, now what? Well, fix the end with something that points forward, either a direct invitation to reach out or a sentence about what you believe about this kind of work that gives the reader a sense of completion and forward motion. The third person bio. Some platforms format bios in third person. If you have a choice, write it in first person. It's warmer, more direct, and more consistent with the kind of relationship that you are inviting the reader into. Third person bios read like press releases. So your bio is the first real conversation that you're going to have with someone who is deciding whether to trust you with something that matters to them. And it does not have to be perfect. It has to be honest, specific, and sound like you. So lead with them, not your credentials. Give them a felt sense of how you work. Keep the credentials brief. Close with something true. Read it out loud before you publish it. And if you want help building the full foundation of your online presence, including how to position yourself across directories, your website, and your marketing materials. That's inside my course, The Launch Lab, and the link is in the description. And next week, we are talking about your Psychology Today profile, specifically the most trafficked therapist directory in the country and how to optimize every element of it so that it actually is doing the work it should be doing. Subscribe so you don't miss it, and I'll see you next week.